Hey friends, welcome to another hopefully exciting episode of This Is Not a Snow Day. I am Kevin Ozar. I am a teacher. I am a parent. It is not day 11. Here we are in day 12 of the quarantine. I'm glad that you're my neighbor. Taking off the Mr. Rogers cardigan and settling in. So it's Wednesday, hump day. Day where you used to have to try to get through in the work week. They're all starting to blend together a little bit, and I'm imagining that's probably happening for a lot of the young friends at your house. So today, I'm going to continue to try and heed some of the comments you guys have shared with me and make these a little more concise, because I know it's a long time on your screen. If you like that, please let me know in the comments. If you want longer episodes, if you want any topics talked about, suggestions on the set, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, please mash that subscribe button, the red one, so you get updates and you know when this fresh new content is dropping. So today, Wednesday, I want to give you a couple of quick hints. Some people have been asking like, hey, give me a thing to do. So I'm going to give you some of those. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about a big picture. You're probably feeling a lot of emotions right now, and I'm imagining your learners are as well. And I saw a great articulation in an article this morning in the Harvard Business Review, and I'll link it in the comments of this video. And it said what you're feeling is probably grief. And that really struck me, that I think we're having a hard time putting our feelings on what it is we're feeling. And grief can take many forms. And for some people who are losing loved ones due to this sickness, then yeah, that's legit grief, and that feels comfortable. But there's also grief for the things you were expecting. I'm an 8th grade teacher right now. For almost 2 decades, I was a senior class advisor who was in charge of spirit weeks and proms and graduation ceremonies and speakers and all of the kind of ceremony that's around the spring in a school year. And that's grief too, because it's loss. For any of you who have had a young friend who just is crying and upset and they can't even articulate it, we're having a hard time articulating it as adults. So of course our less experienced friends are having the same thing, but they're probably grieving for the times they're not at recess with their friends, or playing in that soccer game, or going to taekwondo, or going to a dance competition. And that is real. And there is a lot of science behind the idea that if you can name an emotion, you can better process it and talk about it. So I want to give you the opportunity to maybe name that grief. And one of the ways you could do this is to model for your young learners at home things that you're sad about, that you wish you could do, the trip that you had to cancel, or your coworkers that you miss. I have a great group of coworkers that I eat lunch with. We banter, and I miss that with them. That is not to say that it isn't wonderful to be home and having lunch around the coffee table and watching Star Wars Clone Wars. True story, it's happening. With my 10-year-old, that's pretty amazing. And I also feel like I've lost some things that were important to me. So grief is real. And if you can use that language, especially as you model and help process with our younger people, that might help them understand how they're feeling, and might also tamp down some of those flare-ups where people just seem to get freaked out about nothing. And in reality, it's just not as obvious as we sometimes would like it to be. All right, so here we go. Some suggestions of things to do. One of the coolest projects I have seen came first from a former student. Yes, I feel old. Miss Moffitt, I know you're out there. Actually, her name, Jessie Moffitt, and she's an art teacher, and she was having her students do a found object color wheel, going the Roy G. Biv in a wheel with found objects. What do you have around the house that you could create this? And if you want to take a picture of that, post that in the comments, or tag me on Instagram or Twitter with that. That could be really cool. But also to challenge some friends. Hey, what can you do? How many shades do you have? And really have them play with the color, because the arts are important. And I don't want us to lose sense of art and music and movement while we are concerned about hitting those curriculum marks with some of our packets. Some neighborhoods are doing scavenger hunts with themes. One week, put out a heart. The next week, put out a dinosaur, then do superhero. I'm also hearing about a lot of people doing virtual spirit weeks at home. I think this can be a really, really cool thing if it breaks up the monotony. I mean, Wednesdays are always about getting over that hump, so I thought today it made sense for us to talk about getting over that hump. And if that means that everybody dresses up, like, awesome, everybody dress up. This is not another reason to feel stressed that you need to get everybody up and decorate the front windows because it's hard enough doing your job, everybody else's job. None of this is added stress, but it could be distraction in the form of fun and silliness. And for the educators who are watching, really, the kids want to see you. My office hours are jam-packed with kids on Zoom calls and Google Meet calls where they just want to like say hi and just listen to the banter. So if you're doing something like that, make sure you partake. Now, maybe you don't live in an area where you can do that. You can't walk your neighborhood and look at windows. Your school isn't doing a virtual spirit week, but you could do it at home. You could absolutely do it at home. And you could do decorating different rooms differently. You could absolutely create a scavenger hunt for one learner eats lunch and the other learner and put some objects around and they have to try and find them. Have some fun doing those things. And then for learning, I would like to remind you about graphing. Graphing can be both an artistic expression. It can help decorate walls. So if you want to try and graph how much pasta did we make? How fast did you do that lesson? What time did the mail carrier come today? Anything that's happening, getting your learner in the habit of guesstimating. When did that happen? Think about when that happened before. What were we doing? What time do you think that is? Let's mark that in a chart. And it gives them some ability to make experiences concrete and manageable and feel some power over things. So I love graphing when we woke up, how long things took us to do, how much the cats ate. Anything that's interesting in your house can be graphed and kept on a chart, and then it's a way to mark time, but it's also a way to be engaged and feel like you have some agency over time, and it's great for math. It can be artistically done, spatial. There's a lot of great learning behind that. Last tip for you. You might have some toys or playthings that your kids kind of outgrew or got shoved in a bin, and they're in your basement or in your closet or in the back of the toy room. Pull that stuff out. We got the Lego bin out, and my 10 and 13-year-olds kind of went nuts for it, even though we hadn't talked about Lego in a long time in this house. So there's nostalgia and comfort in some of those old toys, and you could pull those things out and kind of rediscover them. We went through all our baby books. We kept a lot of the girls' books from when they were little, and we've been reading one of our old picture storybooks every night, and it's comforting. It's nostalgic. They're really good readers with them now. They love to see how big they were or how small they were, and that can be a really cool thing. Now, maybe you didn't do that. Maybe you don't like clutter and you've already given all that stuff away. All right, bring it in. Hide some of their toys. Yeah, you heard me. Find some stuff they're not playing with very often. Put it in a copy box, put it in a bin somewhere, and just wait like 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe we'll still be in quarantine. Hopefully we're not. But then they can rediscover it, and that can be really, really fun. Here's the key point, the last point on that, is if you have stuff in your house that the kids aren't interested in or they think they don't want to play with anymore, start creating a donation pile, because as much as we're quarantined right now, it's easy to just think about us, and the only way we're going to get through times like this is if we think about us. And so reminding your kids what they can do and what other people are going through and how they can donate is a great way to make sure we don't become looking in, but we are taking care of in and looking out, and how we can help others. And so those are my hump day tips, some fun things you can do. Hopefully they help. Subscribe, comment. Would love to hear what you guys would like me to do in the future. I'm here for you. Thank you for being there for your kids, for our learners, for our communities. Stay safe. Now go wash your hands.